Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining this research workshop. I am Louie Juera, your lecturer for this course. So today we will discuss the outline of the research paper that will serve as your final requirement for this workshop. Also, we will examine the content of the introduction section in this video. So let's get started. So before we start, I would like to clarify that we will not make an 80 to 100 page research paper here. I will only require you to submit at most 10-page research, the same as the articles that we can find in academic journals. Although every journal or college has their own manuscript format, here we will do the number one, the abstract, the introduction, the methods, the results and discussions, and number five, the conclusions and recommendations. So this format is similar to AMRAD and APA 6th edition manuscript outline. However, I added a conclusion and recommendation section because most theses in the undergrad and graduate school must include this part. Also, I will attach the link of the Word template in the description so that you can directly edit the contents to avoid spending so much time in formatting. So the template looks like this. Okay, so this is the title page of the manuscript. So you have to write the title of your paper here and then your name in this format. And then of course the school, the institution name. And then this is the abstract. So this is the keywords here. Then this is the introduction part. And then the method part. And this is the subtopic or subsection of the method. And then this is the results and discussion. And then the conclusion and recommendation. And then at the last part, of course, the references in APA format. Okay, so if we're going to examine closely the introduction part, so hit the tab key one time to begin the main body of the paper. So although the abstract is not indented, so the abstract is here, is not indented, the paragraphs of the main document are indented, as what we can show, as what we can see here. So the computer will wrap your text for you based on the margin settings established by this document template. So it is not necessary for you to hit the enter or return key at the end of a line of the text. So you just have to continue writing to finish a paragraph. So only hit the enter key one time when you reach the end of your paragraph. So for instance, enter. So in APA, any source that you use in your paper must have an in-text citation. In APA, these citations include the author's last name and the year of publication in parentheses as shown here. However, in our previous examples, in our previous lesson, we discussed how to use the Mendeley as your reference manager to easily do the citation or in-text citation. So if the source you are if the source you are using does not identify an author, use a shortened version of the source title rather than the author name. So for instance, the e-portfolios for education 2006. So this is your introduction. It doesn't have a heading that says introduction, but this is it. So you may go for several pages, but when you get ready for the next section, the method, you don't start a new page as shown here. Okay, so just continue the next section in the same page. Now let us discuss how to write the content of your introduction. So the essential components in an introduction are the background of the study, the conceptual framework, the statement of the problem, and then the hypothesis of the study. So when you explore the importance of the problem, you have to state why the problem deserves a new research. For the basic research, the statement about the importance might involve the need to resolve any inconsistency in the results of the past work and or extend the research of a theoretical formulation. For applied research, this might involve the need to solve social problem or to treat a psychological disorder. This is according to APA Publication Manual, page 28. Also, you have to note that there is no separate section for the review of related literature in this format. Hence, you have to include the associated studies about the issue you are trying to address in this section. So when writing your review, you have to ask these following questions. How does the study relate to previous work in the area? Or if other aspects of your study have been reported previously, how does your report differ from and build on the earlier report? So this is according to APA Publication, page 27. So in this part, the paraphrase materials you prepared in the table of theories will be handy. The arrangement of the literature review depends on the writing style of the author. Still, there are some standards that we can follow. For instance, the inverted pyramid written in precisionconsultancycompany.com as shown here. So beginning with a review on the theoretical foundation of your study, then exploring some studies generally related or broader history of the topic in your field of interest, narrowing to the reviews that are similar to yours in terms of topic, the population, or the research design, which will lead to your research gap. Other professors might also suggest using the global, national, and local format. So these formats should lead you to the famous line, "It is against this background that the study has been conceptualized," or similar. Although some journals do not require conceptual frameworks, I highly recommend that you have to create one because this figure will give a snapshot to your readers about the variables, the relationship between the IVs and the DV, the interrelationship of variables, or even the statistical treatment used in the study. So in the previous lecture, we discussed the conceptual framework for the test of difference in means and the possible statistical tool. So in this lecture, we will discuss the statement of the problem and the null hypothesis for each framework. So when doing research using a test of difference in means, we have to establish first the means or average for each category in the independent variable. Hence, for this conceptual framework below, the statement of the problem can be, number 1. So what is the mean attitude of males and females towards abortion? So after getting the means, we can now ask, number 2, is there statistically significant difference between the mean attitude of males and females? So the first statement of the problem can be answered using descriptive statistic. However, in the second, we have to use inferential statistics. So let us differentiate the two types of statistics using a scenario. So for instance, let's assume that you have a population size n equals 10,000. So if we distribute a survey on those numbers of people, it will take us more time and resources to finish our thesis or study. That is why we have to do sampling or getting a smaller group of people to represent the population. So we will cover the sampling method and the sampling size calculations in the next lecture. So if we just describe the sample, such as there are 4 males and females, or the average grades for males are 90 and 91 for females. So we are just using descriptive statistics. However, if we are going to predict or infer the characteristic of the population, such as gender or average grades, using the characteristic of our sample, hence, we have to use inferential statistics. If our statement of the problem is purely descriptive, then there is no null hypothesis. On the contrary, if the problem is trying to infer something about the population, then a null hypothesis will be required. So let me ask you in this example here, how many null hypotheses should we make? Of course, only one for problem number 2, since the statement of the problem number 1 is in descriptive form. So the null hypothesis will be, there is no significant difference between the mean attitude of males and females towards abortion. So take note the similarity of the statement of the problem number 2 and the null hypothesis. So this can now be tested using independent t-test or Mann-Whitney test to reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis. For the next framework, our statement of the problem can be, what is the mean attitude of Christian, Islam, and Hinduism respondents towards abortion? So number 2, is there statistically significant difference between the mean attitude of Christian, Islam, and Hinduism respondents towards abortion? For the null hypothesis, there is no significant difference between the mean attitude of Christian, Islam, and Hinduism respondents towards abortion. We can use ANOVA or Kruskal-Wallis test to decide either to reject or fail to reject the hypothesis. So for experimental type framework, we can have the statement of the problem written as, what is the mean height measurement using manual and ultrasonic device? So number 2, is there statistically significant difference between the mean height measurement using manual and ultrasonic device? So for the null hypothesis, we can write it as, there is no significant difference between the mean height measurement using manual and ultrasonic device. So we can use the paired t-test or the Wilcoxon signed rank test for the statistical treatment. So take note that the alignment of the conceptual framework, the statement of the problem, the hypothesis, and the statistical tool is very important in your thesis or research paper. In the description below, I added some links to published articles that you can dissect how they write their introduction section. So if you have some questions or clarification, please comment below and I will try to answer your questions as soon as I can. So good luck and God bless.